Hello, my name is Kimberly, and I'm going to be responding to their claim that California's gun restrictions adopted in 2016 should be repealed. So the first thing that they both mentioned was that if this continues to be in place, it's going to harm the courts, and there's a misconception, I think. So basically, there'll be less pressure, if anything, because if people who don't have guns, who shouldn't have guns, don't have guns, they won't be committing crimes, and all those expenses that we would be paying in terms of legal action fees or medical expenses won't have to be covered. They also talked about how law-abiding citizens, this will negatively affect law-abiding citizens, and that it's not helpful because regulations essentially are not effective. And this is not true. According to Nicholas Chris, a writer for PolitiFact, that they found that the state's gun death rate dropped 56% from 1993 to 2013, according to figures by an attorney at a San Francisco-based law center for gun violence prevention. In 1990s, there was a mass shooting, and there was new gun regulations put into place. And they found that with these new gun regulations, a lot of the crimes significantly went down. And he continued to say that the 20-year span is the approximate period during which California imposed strict new gun laws, spurred by mass shooting years earlier in Stockton schoolyard and inside the San Francisco law office. So this idea that regulations are not effective and it's just harming people who are law-abiding citizens is just not true. And he went further to say that the rate of deaths by any kind of shooting declined from 17.48% per 100 residents in 1993 to 7.68 per 100,000 residents in 2013. So that's a significant reduction. He also said that gun owners are put at risks, and both my opponents mentioned self-defense. But this idea that a good guy with a gun can stop a bad guy with a gun, or you can use it for self-defense, is just not appropriate. One of the first opponent mentioned that the reason that you want to have high-capacity ammunitions is because your heart rate gets accelerated and it makes it difficult to change magazines. But think about it, if you're too antsy to change a magazine, should you really be shooting a gun? It kind of throws off where you're shooting, and already in a lot of these situations, you're put in high-pressure situations. So if you don't have the cooling that a lot of police officers do and the proper training, you shouldn't be handling it. According to an FBI report, Professor David of Harvard School of Public Health has published numerous academic investigations and concluded that while defensive guns use may occasionally occur successfully, it is rare and very much the exception. It doesn't change the fact that actually owning and using a firearm hugely increases the risk of being shot. This is a finding supported by numerous other studies in health policy, including several articles in like the New England Journal of Medicine. Furthermore, they also found, according to another article, Director of Alert, it's a training system, says that according to an FBI report, roughly 20% of the situations are ended by a potential victim, and in most cases, that potential victim is unarmed. Only 3% of guns are stopped by an actual, quote, good guy with a gun. So this idea, again, that if you have a gun, you can stop someone who's looking to do harm on others is just not supported by statistics. In reality, people who stop these kinds of people who want to inflict harm actually most of them do it unarmed. And I just want to reiterate that this proposition was passed in response to the mass shooting in San Bernardino. And so under the laws prior to that Governor Brown had passed, it was easier to commit a horrid attack like in San Bernardino. And according to the news, the guns used in San Bernardino's shooting were all purchased legally from federally licensed firearm dealers, according to law enforcement officials, and the assailants used 2 assault rifles. That's why Governor Brown has implemented these laws. And the actual firearms were not brought from different states. They were bought here about 10 or a couple miles away from San Bernardino from a firearms store called Annie's Get Your Gun. So this is why we're having, this is why he passed these laws. It was in response to that. The shooters fired 65 to 75 rounds in the inland region area where 14 people were killed according to the police. And there is no limit on the amount of ammunition that U.S. citizens can buy and keep in their homes. Police discovered hundreds of more rounds. So they could have done potentially much more damage than what they already did. And one of the reasons that this is being discussed is because California has a ban on assault-style semi-automatic rifles with the capability to accept a detachable ammunition, but the gun industry has found a loophole that if there's a tool you can use, which essentially can be like a bullet, to switch that, it acts like a high-capacity gun. So these laws are effective in reducing crime, and they're in response to the San Bernardino attacks. So I hope that you guys agree with me that California's gun restrictions adopted in 2016 should continue to remain in place.